Hi, I'm Bri, and today you join me with the Honda CL500, which is a street scrambler that I've been riding for the last month or so. I've been commuting on it, I've been taking it around country back lanes on the weekends, and I've been having an awful lot of fun with it. So I'm going to talk through a little bit today of the things that I like, the things that I'm maybe not as keen on, and also take it out and show you on the roads. So let's start off with some of the things that I really like about this bike. So it's just under 47 horsepower, which makes it A2 license compliant in the UK, and it's got a 471, I think, it's quite a random number, cc engine. It's twin cylinder, and the fact that it's another A2 compliant bike for the UK lineup is really awesome, and I do wish that this had been on my radar when I'd been on my A2 license a couple of years ago. So as far as the engine goes, it's got 6 gears and it is very beginner friendly and easy to ride. So it's also got the clutch assist as well, so it's super light, and when you are changing down gears you don't get any kind of back wheel locking or anything like that, and it's nice and simple. So it's got ABS, but very little else. There's no traction control or anything like that. It's just been kept really nice and simple. So the clutch lever, nice and light, easy to use, and the brake is similar as well. You really only need one finger, even if you're in an emergency, so that is awesome. And then down here on the brakes, you can see the calipers, the front and the back, and the suspension over here as well is fantastic. It is definitely on the softer side, but it's very bouncy, which makes it a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get a clip of that for you later. It just means that round these country back roads, going through potholes in the city, anything like that, you can have a proper jump around on it, and it is so much fun to ride. So the suspension gets a really big thumbs up from me. So we can have a look at some of the design features as well. This has got some of the accessory packs on as well, so not all of these parts come completely as standard. The plastics on the front making it more suitable for a bit of off-road riding. There's also this seat, this brown one doesn't come as standard. It comes with, I think, the style pack. And I've seen a couple of people mention online about a bit of movement in the seat and how you could feel that while you're riding. I have to say, I didn't feel that and didn't clock that that was even a thing at all, really, until I read about it. I don't think that's an issue for me. I've also seen about it being less comfortable as a comparison to the standard black seat that it comes with. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely not a super squishy, comfortable seat, but I rode this at some point for sort of 5-6 hours a day and didn't have any problems with the comfort levels, and I really like the colour. To be honest, I think it looks awesome with the orange. Another design feature I like in this area, as well as the paint colour and the different options for that, is the pads on the tank. These fit really nicely just sort of above my knee at the bottom of my thigh when I'm standing up on the bike, and it's also really nice to have this one on the front as well. So another thing I really like design wise is the bag, and this is one of the add-ons as well that comes with one of the different packs that you can spec it with, and it's just been such a game changer having this come on as standard rather than having it sort of having to attach things underneath the seat, which you absolutely can do for extra luggage, but having this properly attached onto there and it lifts up. I think I've just got a cardigan and some sunglasses in there at the moment, but it's got a zip at the top and it's a nice size bag. I crammed an awful lot of rubbish in this on the way to work in London, because I'm not a super light packer, so that was really awesome to have there. Another positive that I like is the exhaust. So this is styled off of some of the older CL models of the 60s and 70s, where the bike gets some of its inspiration. So particularly the CL72, the first one of these kind of street scrambler styles that Honda made. So there's a bit of a balance between how it sounds when you're stationary and how it sounds when you're moving, and it's nice and quiet sort of in the city. You're not going to be winding anyone up with an obnoxiously loud exhaust. However, when you're stationary, it sounds pretty good. So let me put my mic down and we can listen to that now.
Thank you to the Classic Competition Company for sponsoring this video production. The Classic Competition Company is a UK-based business that regularly raffles off rare and desirable classic motorcycles for people to win. Ticket sales into competitions are limited and draw dates are fixed. Single tickets are low cost, but you can buy multiple tickets so you can decide how many chances you'd like to win. Head over to their website and check them out today.
So another thing I love, I like riding the bikes in rain or weather, it's freezing cold, but it means I'm always very, very happy when there's heated grips. And this has got heated grips. They're not as powerful as some other heated grips that I've tried, but they did the job and they kept my hands from falling off on the freezing cold ride back from home. So I was very happy with that. Another thing that I like is the overall size of the bike. So the seat height is 790. And at 5'6", it's really nice and comfortable for me. There we go. So I'm not on completely flat ground at the moment, so my feet are slightly raised. If I were on completely flat ground, I'd be able to sort of just about get the heels of my feet down. But regardless, it's a really nice, comfortable size. Whilst I've had this bike, I have also given my brother a lift for the day. Pillion on the back, and he is both taller and heavier than me, so I wasn't too sure how that was going to feel on the bike, but it was actually perfectly comfortable. The bike handled it very well power wise, and he had this underside of the seat kind of bit to hold on to, which was perfectly adequate for the day out that we had, so that was another bonus as well. The foot pegs for the pillion passenger, particularly around the other side, around the exhaust, did initially look quite high up, but I have been assured it was comfortable enough. And then for my own foot pegs, I believe these are actually the slightly more off-road styled ones. I think there are a couple that you can choose from. So these have got the extra kind of grippy spikes on. I have caught my leg on them a couple of times whilst manoeuvring it, but nothing dramatic, and it is nice to have those. So if you're standing up on the bike, you've just got that extra bit of grip to keep your foot connected to the peg. And it meant they also didn't slip off in the rain, so that was awesome. So on to a couple of relatively minor negatives. So on the dial display over here, first you can see that it's quite light, which does mean in brighter sunlight such as we have today, it is a little bit harder to see the dials, although the numbers on it, particularly the one that I mainly care about, which is the speed, is nice and big, so it probably is clear enough. The other thing I would love to see on this that isn't there is a rev counter. So it is really simple. There's nothing to kind of flick through or rider modes or anything like that. It is just what you see with this. So in an ideal world, would be lovely to see a rev counter. The other thing that is slightly odd, and I'll be honest, it's actually the first time I've seen this on a bike of late, is here, instead of a USB charger, I've actually got a little surprise under here. And welcome everybody back to the 90s. We have got a cigarette lighter on here. So if you want a little smoke on the go, or I suppose to plug in a USB charger, have the option there. But yeah, I was quite surprised to see that on there, bit of a random one. So that's a few of the key things that I like and I'm slightly less keen on this bike. Let's take it out on the road and test it out. We are in the middle of the countryside at the moment, so there's lots of potholes and gravel waiting for us, and we can test out what the slightly more off-road capabilities of this bike are. Right, off we go. Some lovely views, but every now and then, some slightly questionable holes. So you can test out a little bit of what this can do, not quite off-road. Obviously we are still very much on the road. We can start to see a bit of how the suspension and things behave under some not quite so flat conditions. So the acceleration on this is good. You know, when you're heading up to speed on a motorway, absolutely no dramas, nice and easy to overtake, and it will sit very happily up at the speed limit, and if you were so inclined, definitely over. I think I've read it's got a top speed of about 100 mile an hour, this one. So personally, I think the nod to the sort of 80s enduro styling on this is very cool. But my friend Saliha, who rode this bike recently, actually has taken all of the plastics, the mirrors, the bag, kind of all of the off-road style accessories away from the bike and stripped it back down to a much more kind of pared back classic style, and it looks awesome. It looks really good, and to be honest, a totally different kind of style of bike, and I think a versatility of that, being able to have two of those totally different style bikes in one, is awesome. So thank you, Honda, for that. The other thing feels very nice on this is the suspension, particularly if you stand up. You can really put those thigh pads to work. Gives you a nice bit of extra grip, means you can sort of truck the bike around like that with your thighs. Oh, and I'm sure you could feel it there. Lots of mid-range torque as we head up the hill, so that's very nice as well. Very easy to chuck around this bike. I'm sure you can see with the handling just how easy that sort of is to manoeuvre. It's lovely. Overall, with the handling, with the gearing, with the performance from the engine, it is a very easy bike to ride. Super beginner friendly and just a lot of fun. I like with the bars on this that when you are perhaps either off-road, I've taken this round kind of a grass motocross style tracks, some gravel tracks, that sort of thing, you can really get lent up and forward, get some nice control with the higher up bars, and that's awesome for off-road or some slightly more aggressive style riding. But when you want to sit back and relax, you know, you're cruising through some nice country lanes or city traffic, you can really sit back, and it's nice, comfortable, upright style riding position. So I mentioned with the simplicity of the bike earlier that there isn't any traction control. There is ABS, however, which does add to the brakes being good. They're also nice and responsive, and the front brake lever is very easy to handle. So the brakes on this, as I'm sure you may have seen from a couple of the other clips where I've had to brake quite sharply, the brakes are very good, which is always helpful. So we should also talk about the tyres on this. They are certainly more scrambly in style, so I would not describe them as a full off-road tyre. They have handled riding in the rain very well. Actually, I have taken this out in a couple of very bad spots of wet weather, and no dramas with sliding. So this being a bike that only weighs 192 kilos, with that being the height that it is, means that it is pretty light for the size of it. It's a bit heavier than a comparable bike such as the Triumph Scrambler 400, for example, but with that, this is, you know, this is the CL500, and it does have the extra horsepower, and it is a bit more powerful, so that extra weight wouldn't really be a bother. And I think, if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, it may just be down to the sort of seat width and the fit of that, but this does actually feel a tiny bit lower than the Scrambler 400. Oh, a point to mention quickly actually is, I'm not sure if you can see them from where you are. Ah, yes, my chin. The mirrors. So
This one, actually, when I got it out the garage the first time, I managed to knock it, and I did have to take this off and adjust it with a spanner, which could be easier to use, but I do really like that these are adjustable from there, so it's good.
I'm back from the ride, and I'm sure you can probably tell from the clips, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoy riding this bike. It is so just light, flickable, easy to ride. The suspension's great, the brakes are strong. It just does everything that you ask of it, and I'm a really big fan of it. I think particularly given the fact that it's an A2 compliant bike, I think it's really awesome to have another one added to that category. And I do think if you are looking for an A2 compliant bike, or you're looking at a street scrambler, or you're looking at something that's around, you know, the just under 200 kilo kind of mark, this needs to be on your test ride list. I'm serious, this is a really wicked bike. And I think when I looked at the original styling with the kind of 80s enduro style plastics, I initially thought, is that too off-road focused? Is it pretending to be off-road focused and it's not gonna hit any gravel? No, I think it's got a really lovely balance, and I think I initially perhaps overlooked this bike and how awesome and fun it is, and without all of the different kind of add-ons, the plastics, the bag, things like that, it can also look like a totally different bike. So I think there's some really lovely options within that. It comes in at just under £6,000, and the build quality, as you would expect from a Honda, is brilliant. So I think this is a real contender in the A2 street scrambler kind of region. You make an awesome second bike, and it is very much worth your time to test ride. If you've ridden one, please do let me know what you think, and equally if you've ridden something similar, let me know if there's something else I should be trying. Also particularly keen to hear if any of you have or rode one of the original Honda CLs back from the 60s and 70s, the original lineup. Let me know what you thought of it and whether or not it's something I should be seeking out to give a go to in the future. So big thank you to Honda for letting me spend the last month thrashing around on this awesome CL500, and thank you all for watching.